Hello and welcome to my channel Study with Delnas. Today's topic is B.F. Skinner's reinforcement theory of motivation. Introduction. The reinforcement theory of motivation was developed by Boris Frederick Skinner, who was an American psychologist. Skinner was working as a professor of psychology at Harvard University, and he has come up with this reinforcement theory of motivation, wherein he tries to explain that uh, the behavior of an employee can be influenced by using this theory, and good behavior can be encouraged and bad behavior can be reduced or demotivated. So this means that using this theory, we can influence the behavior of an employee and try to bring up the behavior which is required at that point of time. First of all, let us understand what is the meaning of the word reinforcement. Reinforcement means to support or to build up, or you can also say to boost that behavior, means to reinforce that behavior. So here what B.F. Skinner is trying to make us understand is that the behavior that elicits consequences, or you can say the behavior that brings up the consequences, is called as the operant behavior. And this reinforcement theory works on the relationship between the operant behavior and the associated consequences. And this process is called as operant conditioning. So for example, an employee achieves the target. So when an employee is achieving the target, what that particular behavior of achieving the target is called as the operant behavior. And the associated consequences could be rewards or recognition given to and that employee. So that is called as the associated consequences. So a employee works hard and achieves the target and he gets some recognition. This process is called as operant conditioning. So in this, what happens is that positive consequences tend to be repeated, and negative consequences will tend not to be repeated. Therefore, it can be said that individual's behavior is nothing but the function of consequences. Okay, and this theory totally focuses on what happens to an individual when he takes some actions. This model will clearly help us to understand the reinforcement theory, wherein the operant's behavior can be associated with any of these four consequences, whether it's positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, punishment, or extinction. So, depending upon the behavior of an employee, the manager can use any of these four strategies and reinforce that behavior. Depending upon the type of behavior, the consequences can be applied. If the behavior is desirable, positive and negative reinforcement can be applied. And if the behavior is undesirable, then extinction and punishment strategies can be applied. So now we will understand all the four reinforcement strategies in detail. So the first reinforcement is through the positive consequences. So positive consequences can be used when the behavior is desired or desirable. Okay, so when there is a desirable behavior, you can reinforce it through positive consequences, meaning desirable rewards can help the employee to reinforce that behavior. So managers who use a positive reinforcement strategy provide a positive rewards to employees when they perform well. with the theory indicating that rewarded behavior is repeated behavior and will lead to continued high levels of achievement. So, for example, if somebody comes early to work and the manager just shows up and says that I appreciate your commitment. So when the manager is verbally appreciating that employee, what happens is that that employee enjoys the praise and is more likely to feel appreciated and will come to work early on a regular basis, thus improving his productivity. So, an employee who stays late for several days in a row to help a colleague to complete its large project. So, in such a situation, that colleague can appreciate, or the high-level manager can appreciate that employee who's staying late for several days in a row. What happens in that? The supervisor sees and appreciates the teamwork. Now, there are some positive aspect to this theory and a negative aspect to this theory also. So the positive thing is it will boost the morale of the employee, reduce the turnover, and increase the productivity. But the only negative aspect of this theory is that sometimes employees get into this habit of appreciate habit of taking appreciation every now and then, even for any regular work which is done, or even for any daily work which is done, and then it will become very difficult for the manager to correct them when they are wrong, because they are into this habit of always hearing appreciation all the time. So that is like a bit of disadvantage of this theory. But of course, managers have a lot of tools at their disposal to provide this positive reinforcement, and that could be through monetary bonuses and rewards. It can be medals and certificates. It can be through increased authority in the job, participation in high level discussions can happen, promotions of course, and time off rewards, and also some congratulatory messages and communication from the senior boss. The second strategy is reinforcement through negative consequences. Now, as the name suggests, negative consequences, it does not mean any kind of punishment, but it only means actively providing something positive by removing some negative aspect of work. Now, I can give you an example for this, like a very easy example. So when I was a kid and I would, go for my classes, at that time, if I behaved well and did my work well and completed my work before time, then my teacher would allow me to go home an hour early. So that 1 hour that I was allowed to go home early acted as something positive. But in that, the teacher has not given me something extra, but removed the negative aspect of me sitting over there for 1 hour more. So that is, when the manager removes some negative aspect to provide positive reinforcement. So there are a few examples to it, like when the manager removes weekly meetings, because when the employees are working properly, functioning properly, and their productivity is good, and everything their efficiency is to its highest level, in that situation managers can appreciate their behavior by removing something negative from work, like a removal of weekly meetings, removal of Saturdays as working days, then not micromanaging or closely monitoring the employees, then handling the situations with great care and trying to not um, not deliberately insult somebody, and a removal of improper ways of dealing with mistakes is that's one of the example, like not trying to insult the person when you're trying to bring up a change in them. And the employees who have recently just come on board and is on probation, then that probation period can be removed. Okay, So this is a type of negative reinforcement where good outcomes are encouraged or motivated by removing a negative aspect of work. Punishment as a form of reinforcement. Now, punishment can be used as a form of reinforcement when there is an undesirable behavior. So, when the employee's behavior is undesirable, punishment can be used as a form of reinforcement. So, in this reinforcement theory, punishment is administered into the relation of a specific performance issue with the expectation that the undesirable performance will become less frequent and the employee will be demotivated to show that undesirable behavior. So, as the term implies, punishment, it is an approach in which employees are reprimanded or criticized or otherwise punished for any poor performance or any missteps that that employee might have taken. So, the theory behind this management technique is that if an employee receives negative attention, it will become an unpleasant experience for that employee and will therefore curb similar behavior in the future. So, for example, if an employee who has not been able to meet the key deadline, so the manager, in the staff meeting might just point out to that employee and say that this employee has not been able to meet its deadline. So that will become like a negative publicity and an unpleasant situation for that employee. So the next time that employee will strive hard not to get that negative publicity and will strive hard to achieve that deadline. I mean, achieve that particular target or that particular goal and meet the deadline. So that's why punishment can be used as a form of reinforcement. But the disadvantage of this reinforcement technique is that employees will have increased workplace stress, they will have lower workplace morale, and the turnover of employees might also be high. But at the same time, what can be the positive point of this reinforcement theory is that employees that recognize underperformance and poor performance will not be tolerated and will step up their efforts to contribute to the team members. So meaning they might not like that negative publicity and might really strive hard to achieve their targets and their goal. So on a regular basis and in a practical scenario, managers don't really have a lot of punishment tools that can be used because every employee management relationship is not like that. But still there are a few tools, punishment tools which can be used, and some actions which can be taken like demotion, probation period, some financial penalties, or maybe some scolding, or maybe some poor performance reports or something like that can be used as a form of punishment. The last form of reinforcement strategy is extinction. So in this form of reinforcement, that is extinction, this is a strategy in which employees are neither praised nor reprimanded or criticized for their work product, for their work behavior, or any team interaction. So for anything that they do wrong, of course, over here also this extinction form of reinforcement can be used when the employee um, um, gives undesirable behavior or behaves in an undesirable fashion. So at that point of time, extinction can be used as a form of reinforcement by the manager. So what happens in this extinction reinforcement theory is that this is a strategy in which employees are neither praised nor reprimanded for their work product, for their behavior, or for their team interaction. So in this management scenario, the workers don't run the risk of workplace humiliation like in the form of punishment, and but they also forego any recognition for a job well done. So An employee who engages in, say, any undesirable behavior. So for example, in a meeting there is one employee who is disruptively just talking in the meeting and just trying to disturb everybody. Now, when such an employee, everybody else in that room, in that meeting, suddenly gives him the attention, so that is like giving positive reinforcement to that employee. Instead, what can be done is that his his behavior of just disruptively talking in between can be can be suppressed by just ignoring his behavior totally. So here what happens is that the behavior is neither praised nor reprimanded. That means that employee's behavior will not be appreciated, because when you give attention to such an employee, that might act as a catalyst or a stimulation, or you can say encourage that employee to show that behavior again and again. But at the same time, if nobody is going to pay attention to that particular employee, then that might happen, that employee will stop showing that behavior, and slowly that behavior will be completely reduced. So the advantage of this theory is that employees don't feel the pressure or stress associated with making a mistake or missing a deadline or failing to meet stated goals and objectives. So workplace stress may be reduced, turnover may be reduced, and the performance can also be increased if that particular behavior is reduced. But the disadvantage of this theory is that there is very little incentive to step up performance if your efforts are never recognized, because in this theory you are also not praised. So then productivity might slide, and high performing employees may look for other opportunities where their contributions can be noted. So this way, this is all about the extinction as a form of reinforcement. So, in conclusion, we can say that reinforcement theory revolves around the basic idea that consequences influences behavior, wherein earlier we saw that individuals' behavior is nothing but the function of consequences. So, consequences that brings reward propels a particular behavior or helps to repeat that particular behavior, and consequences that give punishment diminishes the occurrence of that behavior. The theory helps the managers to choose the right method of motivation to motivate their employees basing upon the prevailing situation. So, therefore, according to Skinner, the external environment of the organization must be designed effectively and positively so as to motivate the employees. The Skinner also suggests that personalized motivational techniques should be used by the employees, because every employee is different and there is no size that fits all. Okay, so for some professionals, a fear of failure or public embarrassment is the driving motivator, while for others, praise or a chance of advancement or rise in payment is acts as a motivator. For some employees, striving for a goal that has a bonus attached, or taking up a new challenging task, acts as a motivation. So and even there has been a proper distinction between what kind of behavior that employee is showing. So for example, if there is desirable behavior, then positive and negative enforcement can be used, whereas there is undesirable behavior, then punishment and extinction strategies can be used as a form of reinforcement. So therefore, this theory is a strong tool for analyzing the controlling mechanism for individuals' behavior. However, this does not focus on the individual's behavior on the cause of individuals' behavior, as it assumes that people learn to change their behavior um, uh, uh, based upon what happens to them from exhibiting a certain behavior. So here they are trying, this model clearly states that the behavior of an individual can change from the consequences that they get. But this theory does not focus on why a particular person or a particular employee is behaving like that. So the cause is unknown, but what this theory is trying to show is that when a particular behavior is curbed from a particular situation or a particular consequences given to them, then that way the employee's behavior can always be altered. This was the end of the video. I hope you like my video, and if you have liked it, please don't forget to give the video a big thumbs up. Also subscribe my channel and don't forget to hit the bell icon besides the subscribe tab, because this will send you a notification whenever I upload a new video. Please share this video with your friends and family. Let me know your feedback and your thoughts in the comment section below. I also have my email address written down below. Till then, stay tuned with my channel and take care. Bye bye.